Hey everybody, back at you for this wonderful Friday. I'm going to be knocking out Terrax from the Fantastic Four set. I'm going to share this over with the page real quick and then we're going to get started. Oh, let's see. There we go. Cool. And we're shared. Cool deal. Now that everybody can see it, I'm going to start knocking this out real quick. I'm going to get right into this thing. I'm going to go try something different today. I'm going to be using my my artist loft today. I wanted to mess around with these things a little bit more today and see about how they're going to work out for an upcoming project I've got, and I want to use them. And like I said, I haven't been using these quite as well as I should be, quite as often and whatnot. So I figured I would color a few of these cards with them and see how they go. It's definitely not going to be the same as the Copics, but will work because I'm going to be using a couple of Copics as well. But I just want to check these out, because they got the tip on the fine tip on this side, and they have the brush on this end. They're pretty cool. I like them all right for what they are, but I don't go, crazy with them or anything because they tend to go a little haywire and run and bleed, and I don't like to do that very much. So bear with that in mind when you get with these. Now I'm going to take a Copic here, and I'm going to start doing this. I don't think that one's light enough. It's not going to have the look that I want. There we go. Okay. I wanted to see which one I was going to use here. I'm just going to give this a 1/over metallic look here, and I'm going to make this very shiny, so I'm going to be using a lot of open white. Because this piece on his face here, this chin guard or head guard or whatever it is, I never really understood what that was. It was just a weird piece of armor that he has, and I wanted to use it to my advantage here with this coloring. So I'm just going to kind of fade stuff in like this and build it up very lightly, and that's it. I want it to have a very clean, shiny metallic look, and that's what I'm going for here. I don't normally do armor like this, but in this case I wanted to make it chrome-like rather than the typical colored stuff. It just doesn't have the same feel to it, to do all the color in and whatnot. So I left it open. I'm doing a little more modern technique with this because of the fact that I like the look of it. Like I said, I wanted this one to stay very, very bright and very clean. A lot of people will be freaking out over this one because it's a cool effect. Very contemporary, especially compared to what I do. I normally color everything in, so. Get these little edges right here. I'm trying to clean up my art a little bit so that I can get a little more detail in with the color restrictions. And because I do hand paint this stuff, so I like to experiment and try different things, and using some of the more modern techniques have turned out to be better for my comics, so it's all good. Now in this case where his skin is gray, I didn't do all the stippling and whatnot very heavily, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and do patch coloring. So it's going to go in between the hard lines here. It's going to kind of fill it in and just leave that edge open. And I wanted to do this with this card specifically to practice this technique when I drew it, but I also wanted to try the same thing when I do the Ben Grimm, which I have not colored yet either, because I wanted to do that for one of these as well. And just wanted to keep things kind of open and cool, you know, go in and try a couple of different techniques, because that's why I started doing this originally, was not for exposure or anything like that. It was mainly for practice, to get comfort in drawing more live stuff and to do more artwork on a public scale. Not, like I said, not for exposure, but more for me to get comfortable in front of drawing, you know, and in front of people to draw, because that was my big thing. I'm a very shy person when it comes to my artwork, because I like to focus on the work that I'm doing and not talk as much. Of course, not a lot of people would know that from the way that I run on in these videos and stuff. Because I do a lot of speaking, so that's a big difference, you know. I'm used to speaking, that's no problem, but I've been trying to cross promote the two because of my artwork. You know, I've been trying to get to where I can do more art in front of people openly, because this is something that's very, very close and dear to me, and I'm very passionate about it. And just like my consulting, I'm very passionate about helping people with that. But my art is very personal to me. And this is something that's not just shown or shared with everybody, especially my techniques of how and when I do things and for what, you know, reason I do that. There's a big difference in going in and teaching someone something specific and then letting them see my work and how my process goes. So that is a big thing, you know, that a lot of people don't get to see a lot of. So that's why I'm doing that. But I thought it would be cool to share this a little bit, you know, and as things come to an end, because people have been watching a lot less and whatnot due to whatever, you know, it's probably the time of the year or whatever, but you know, I've noticed some people aren't watching as often, and you know, maybe that's the pieces that I'm doing, or maybe they're bored with it or whatever, and it's run its course. But I'm considering different options, and if it's time to move on or not. But as long as the fan base is there, I'll keep doing it. But I'm going to be doing a lot of comics this year too, so you know, it may be time. I've been asked not to cut it off, but we'll see. We'll see what the new year brings. If everybody comes in and starts picking back up when everybody's back on work and whatnot, we'll see where it goes. But anyway. Okay, cool deal. And what did I do with it? What did I do with it? What did I do with it? I went with another gray because of his teeth. I didn't grab it. Like that. Cool deal. Just going to pop this out a little bit. And like I said, the same thing I did before, I'm doing here now. Just going into these what I did with the white, these little segments here, where I put in the light gray in the center of the white. I'm just putting in this dark right in the center of the lighter gray. Make it pop up just a little bit. Kind of make it pop out a little. There we go. Cool deal. Yeah, that's giving it that granite style look. Because not unlike Ben Grimm, Terrax is a stone figure as well, but it's like he's more granite or maybe even alien based stone, which is harder, apparently. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I haven't researched the character enough over the years, but I'm going to take this darker purple. Purple. I'm going to go right across here, some of these darker edges. Now you got to be careful doing this on metallics because you'll jack it up 10 ways from Sunday, and that's a technical term, mind you. If you darken it up too much, it won't look like metal, it'll look flat. Don't do that. So like this here, you know, in key little high points. Get right into that edge there a little bit. And then right back here along the edge of this black. And then we're going to call that a day on that side because I don't want to darken it up too much. There we go. Cool deal. That's all it takes on that. And it is done. Now I'm going to go in here. Normally, Terrax has white eyes, and they get a yellow flame about them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to get this really, really bright yellow here. That's more of a green. I don't want that one. Bear with me here. There we go. There was a really bright yellow green in this thing. If you look at this kit, there's the bright yellow which I have in my hand. There's a more of an egg or an orangey yellow, and there's the green that I was looking at. And when you use it, it's like bright lime green. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. I'm going to color the core of his eyes yellow. His pupils as they were. And then I'm going to go in here with this this light gray here. Oh, that's not the neutral that I wanted. Bear with me just a second. There we go. Yeah, an N10 will not work. That's almost black. Again, I'm going to go right in here on this white. And then I'm going to go right up here and add a little more right up underneath this lip here to make his teeth look like they're shadowed just a bit. And the reason for that is because it'll make it look like his mouth is actually wrapped around him, which is very cool. Now, The reason I did that is because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into this yellow again with a little bit of this darker yellow right in here to show that iris a little bit better. And darken that up. Let that set for a second. And then what I'm going to do, just for fun, I'm going to work a little bit of orange into it right along the edge. And I know this is really wet right here, so I got to be careful with this card. And make them look like they're going to start sparking. Just a little bit of energy here, like that. And now what I'll do is I'll take this dark red and go back over right up in here and thicken that up a little bit where it'll be a little darker and pop off. And what did I do with my N3? There we are. Gonna go back under this and add in some hard grays to really pop him up for shadow parts like this. Give him a little bit more of a three-dimensional look. Things coming down and around and whatnot. Like that. Get right down under here. It doesn't take much to really bring stuff like this out. Just a little bit of detail here and there, and you can really make it pop and change the direction. But you got to be careful not to overwork it, because then you'll screw it up too. Like right here, where that light's hitting on it. Most people will put a big shadow underneath there. The thing is to put it on the chunk that turns, not where the light coming up hits. Big difference. See, that shows a different angle right there where everything's moving around, and that's a good way to do. And I'll show you a little trick with the teeth too to make them really pop up. Put a little fine line right underneath, and it'll make it look like that bite's there. And just make those teeth look like they're grimacing down and biting down on each other. Now, go right up under here and do a broad stroke. Right there. Boom. Done deal. And make that helmet come out. There you go. Cool deal. Now I noticed right up under here, there we go. Cool. All right. There we go. And now, what should I do with this? It being a Fantastic Four character, I think I'm going to go bright and contrast him with a little bit of bright green here around the outskirts. Cool deal. Like that. Get my big fingers out of the way. I should probably use the wedge, not the brush for this, but that's okay. Since we already started it, that's what I'll stick with. Now, I know I say all the time not to go back and forth like I just did there, but I'm actually doing that to break in this tip. It's a little stiff. If you get like a new nib, you can rotate that, and it'll rotate it and do a piece where you go back and forth a couple times, and it'll soften it up, and so you'll start to see that tip bend a little bit. Then rotate it a quarter of a turn and go back over, and then it'll rotate it back the other way. So it'll firm it back up and point it, but it won't break it down in the process. So be very cautious of that. But all right, cool deal. Hope you guys dig it. This is where we're at right now. This is where we're going to stop because I don't want to overwork that. But I think we've got him in there. I wanted to bring a little more blue contrast into that, but I didn't want to go too far into it. So I'm going to just leave it alone. Like I said, I'm going to call that done. I hope you guys dig it, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one. So till then, take care. Leave the place a better place than when you found it, and we're good to go. Talk to you next time.